Right.
Well, very few people as popular as Rick Dees, who was king of morning radio here for so many years on KISS Radio and did so many other things. But I'm going to take you back here for a moment. The year was 1976.
I like to say the year was
1976.
That's it.
And young Rigdon Dees, or Rick Dees on the air, DJ in Memphis, decided he was going to release a spoof disco song. The song became a #1 platinum hit on the Billboard Hot 100. But he solid gold later on, introduced by Paul McCartney, and an entrance worthy of a king. So here is Disco Duck.
There's no stopping a duck in his beak. So I to try my luck. Why look?
Oh, no.
That is.
Oh, that takes you back.
That takes you back.
It took forever to get all those sequins on.
First of all, it's good to see you, my friend.
Oh,
It's
thank
been a
you
while.
so much, Maria. Thank you.
It's so good
what
to
a joy
meet you.
Oh, you too.
Yeah.
Tell me if this story is true. So there you are. I got a couple of Memphis stories.
Right.
You're in Memphis. You're the hot young kid on the radio.
Right.
People can have odd relationships with their radio station.
Mm-hmm.
You record Disco Duck. It becomes
Right.
your #1 song, sells millions of copies. Your radio station?
Let me guess.
Are you
they
ready for
won't
this?
play it?
They wouldn't play it. And so I knew that they wouldn't play it, so I just mentioned, you know, it's interesting. Chicago is #1, Paul McCartney is #2. Next week they tell me that we're going to be #1, and everybody said, well, what are you talking about? I said, well, I recorded a song called Disco Duck. I mentioned it, that I was going to come out to Hollywood and perform it for the first time, and they fired me. They fired me.
Too big for your britches.
Oh, yeah. They said, you're too big.
Yeah.
You get out of here.
Going to Hollywood.
You deserve to be in Hollywood when underneath all that tinsel is more tinsel.
Did you realize that this was one of the best things that could happen to you at that point, or were you just devastated?
I was devastated.
Yeah.
Devastated. And I didn't know what to do. I was fired. And then the guy who wore the duck suit sued me, saying that I caused him emotional distress. So I had to pay him $5,000. So I'm penniless. I don't have a job. And finally, they called from Los Angeles and said, people who don't have work are all over the place. Why don't you come and join them?
That's what we do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's where I met you. You came out to KHJ Radio back in those days.
So when you
before.
see that Disco Duck video and everything, do you think, oh, what a headache? Or do you think that was really a launching pad?
Oh, no. I think it's the most wonderful thing. It helped me meet everybody, my dear friends here, my family. If it weren't for Disco Duck, my son Kevin never would have been born. So,
really?
yeah.
Wait a minute, that sounds a little odd.
It is odd. We can talk about that in another segment.
Another memory that I have. Another memory that I have, and I think we've talked about this. When Elvis Presley died.
Yes. Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
When Elvis died, his body was in his house, and I drove by his house when his body was on his bathroom floor. Yeah. And I still can't believe it, but I was there when he died.
Whoa.
And interesting, they asked me to come by for the viewing. You know, it's a big Southern thing. And you go by for the viewing, they had the coffin open, everything. But I wasn't that close to Elvis. I was afraid to go by, but I guess I should have, you know, so I could have another story to tell.
Yeah.
Was he listened to you on the radio?
Oh, he did.
Yeah.
He did.
Local.
Yeah.
And we did a song that was a takeoff because he had gotten really large by that time. And so we did a song called He Ate Too Many Jelly Donuts. and
he was like, okay with it?
Yeah. No, he was not okay with it. He was not.
Well, so he listened for the wrong reason.
Yeah.
Why are you holding a book in your lap?
Well, okay, listen. I have a friend named Joe Nipote, and Joe brought me an idea for a book several years ago, and then it happened. It's called EGGY YOLK and the Dirty Rotten Dozen. Joe came up with this idea. I loved it. We embraced it. I said, that could be a great animated series. So for kids, EGGY YOLK, and because every kid knows eggs. So you got EGGY YOLK, you got the Dirty Rotten Dozen, you got Eggsville.
We'll be reading this in
It's like a cowboy adventure.
It's like a cowboy
guy comes to town.
It's one egg pun after another.
You have your hand in everything.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
that's
thank you.
You've always been that way.
You're such an entrepreneur. You've got a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I knew you as the radio guy, but then when I started digging, it's like you have done so much.
I'm losing money in over 100 countries as we speak right now.
Good for you.
Maria.
Means you're doing something.
Thank you. But you could read this to your 18-month-old.
I totally will. We're always looking for something.
Little Grace will love this.
Yeah.
It's loaded with puns. It can be a great animated feature. You know, then you can have like Eggy Yolk and Salmonella is the next villain. Eggy Yolk, like, and Frank Eggstein. You see where we're going with
yeah.
this?
She loves a pun.
Oh, well,
Great sense of humor, that
For
one.
more details on Eggy Yolk and the Dirty Dozen by Joe Nipote, and by you're involved somehow
Well, yeah,
in
we're
this.
producing this, yeah.
Okay. And to connect with Rick Dees, you can go to our website, myfoxla.com. Rick,
So good.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, good to see you.
Good
Maria,
to meet
thank
you, but so good
what
to
a
hear
joy.
your voice, doesn't it?
Oh, thank you.
It just sounds so familiar.
Come on, sell it for us. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, it was still to come. 2 pilots fired for doing something very dangerous.
Take a look. What do you think
Look
they're
at those
doing?
3.
One
They
of
don't
them
belong
is
in the
not a
cockpit
pilot.
together.
Yes. Can you
Guess
guess?
which one is not the pilot?
Yes,
One of
yeah.
these kids is not like the other one.
And we'll be this right after back.